Hello. Well, here I am again after I think it's more than 2 years since my last video clip. So you'll have to excuse me if I'm a little bit rusty as I get on with this. I've no doubt there'll be lots of uh, mm, uh, going on as I go through these questions. Uh, Look at this. Yeah, see, I did it just saying on the screen. Okay. The first question here is from Ricky Pullinger. Well, he doesn't start with the question. He says, "Hi Neil, just want to say I'm a massive fan and love all your work." Thank you, Ricky. And then goes on to say, "Still yet to finish Jupiter War and start Dark Intelligence." We'll get on with it then. Anyway, my question is, have you thought of maybe releasing an art type book full of your wonderful creations? Because I would love to see artwork of the alien creatures and characters you create and the beautiful and terrifying landscapes and planets. Not to forget the weapons and spacecraft too, with in-depth descriptions and insight as to how you came up with the ideas, etc., etc. Thanks for the great stories and keep up the hard work. Okay. Somebody has asked this question before about me doing a book in conjunction with John Sullivan, because his artwork on the recent books is the best. Let's be honest. Unfortunately, John Sullivan has moved on to doing other artwork now. He's not so interested in the science fiction, and at the time where this idea might have come to fruition, obviously some shit things happened in my life, so that went out the window. Maybe for the future, I don't know. It would be nice to see, I agree. Thank you, Ricky. Okay, next one. Phil Young. Why call it the polity? Well, I had to call it something. In all the films and books and so on, there's always some setting. Like Star Trek, for example, you have the Federation or the Dominion, or you have the empires and kingdoms, whatever. I wanted some overall description of the setting, and polity is suitably vague. I mean, empire implies emperors, king implies kings, etc. So polity was suitably vague, and that is why I plumped for that one. I could open it up a bit like that because it was vague. Now, next question from Fergus Duncan. Orgs and advertising. Who pays for the infrastructure without ads? Well, you could ask the same question about the infrastructure we already have for telephones, for the internet, things like this. Yeah, sure, there'll be advertising through augmentations, and just like we do on the computer here, if we don't want to see it, we don't see it, we get rid of it. The people pay for the infrastructure, just as we paid for the telephone infrastructure, just as we paid for the internet. It's like this. Thank you, Fergus. Now, next one. And I need to slow down. I'm babbling a bit. You have to excuse me. Jeffrey Utley. What type of material does the Autodoc use to repair tissue damage? Do they feed in a protein matrix? I guess what you're thinking of there is the cell welders and bone welders that are used in polity surgeries. Yes, it would be a protein matrix, collagen foams, bone matrix, a whole list of different materials into which things can grow. I would also have them laying down capillaries and so on in that structure. We'll see more of that as it develops. I've got it all written down here, of course, and we'll be putting in my patent very soon and making lots and lots of money. Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay, next one. Oh, bugger. Put that back. Here we go. The next question is from Richard Smith. Okay, Richard. Evening, Neil. Big fan who is looking for things to do while waiting for Transformation Book 2. Okay. Question. The Quiet War. What made you decide that humanity would give up governance without a fight? Not even from the parts of society which still followed a religion, or countries who may have had dictators, for example, North Korea. Right, I'm going to read that bit again. Not even from the parts of human society which are still following a religion, or countries with more dictatorial leaders, would, for example, North Korea embrace AI government. I love the idea of an almost overnight shift of power. I was just wondering if you imagine it was a completely bloodless transition. Okay, Richard. Being me, I doubt it was a completely bloodless transition. But, you know, if you're taking over North Korea, maybe if you just kill off, say, 20 or 30 people at the top, you've got more of a chance of taking over. Also, the idea that was scratch his head and search his memory, the idea that I put across was that by that time, most of the weapons in the world were controlled by the AIs. Yeah. So they had the power to stop any kind of rebellion or war almost at once. And as I have seen on here, whenever there's a post on Facebook or something like this about artificial intelligence and all this sort of thing, there are so many people who go, I so wish for the AI overlords to come in, you know, because people are so pissed off with human politicians. I think it would be embraced by many. Many would not embrace it, and of course they would have to be dealt with. Quiet war is relative. I think it was a quiet war compared to, you know, say the Blitz. Moving on. Now I've got to try and pronounce this name correctly. Hakan Salesforce. I hope I've got that right. I really enjoy to read books in English, perhaps because it is not my spoken language, and because I like the taste of English. Do you have a favourite word that for some reason you find pleasure in using in your stories? I've gone through numerous words like this. One time, many years back, I actually read an old dictionary from cover to cover and learning many of the words inside. And when I was a younger writer, a less experienced writer, I tended to you know, use the big pretty words. I like them. I like what was it? One that was in my fantasy, yet to be published fantasy, is lacrimal, which is it is a vessel, a glass vessel, which is buried with the dead, but it contains the tears of the bereaved. Anyway, I like that word, so I had to use it. Over the years, I have used many words too much. I'm trying to think of some now. What is it? Right. I like incandescent or candent to describe explosions. I mean, there's a couple there for you. Right now, I can't think of any others. But what I tend to try and do now, is simplify it, because the moment that you use a word like that, it stops the reader. Yeah, that's great. Yes, so I try not to have any favourites like that. Oh, there is one word I've been using. Yes, one word I've been using a little bit too much lately, and somebody pointed that out to me in my books, is ersatz. There you go. I will change that. I will not use it so much. Now, next one. Get that back up there. Okay. Michael Jersey. When writing a novel, do you write down a plan for it first and then follow it? Or does the story develop as you write? What I'm really interested in is how much preparation you do prior to actual writing. Is everything in your head, or do you write down notes about characters, plots, events, scenes, and only on having them start wordsmithing? Also, do you write the chapters in the same sequence we read the book, or do you sometimes write end scenes before even getting to the middle? Okay. This is one I've been asked before. I'm not one of these writers who plans out a whole book and sticks post-it notes on some board on the wall to follow. I don't work like that. In fact, I write a book as I like to read a book. It's a voyage of discovery. Most of what I do happens at the keyboard. I start writing, and that's when the ideas start coming, when I'm actually writing. Sometimes when I'm well into a book, yes, I will. Ideas will occur to me when I'm not writing. So yes, I will make notes sometimes. They're never very big. I'd never have a large amount of notes on any story. Sometimes I'll do little drawings and things like this. Like, for example, the space station Argus, so that I could know where everything was as I was telling the story. But no, I don't make much in the way of notes. Also, as far as the chapter sequence is concerned, that does get switched around quite a lot. I mean, each of my chapters will maybe have 2 or 3 sections, and these will often get changed, and then I have to change the chronology in them and so on. But this is to suit the plot as it develops. As I write, yes, I'll write a number of chapters, and then I have another idea and I want to do something. I'll start writing something, and very often I will have to go back and make big changes at the start to make this later piece fit properly. Or maybe I'll move this later piece earlier, who knows. It's work in progress. I write it and I change it all the time as I'm going through. But I never have a big idea. I never have the big idea of what it's about straight away. I mean, with this latest one that I'm writing, yes, I'm halfway through now, and I know where I'm going to go with this one book. It works like that for me. For others, it's different. Okay. Next one, Jesse Gray. Do AIs know if P equals NP? Also, what is going on in the generation ship still in transit? Mentioned in Brassman. Mentioned in Brassman. What part of the galaxy is colonized? Several thousand worlds is not very many. Okay. Go through these point at a time. Do the AIs know if P equals NP? Almost certainly they do. I haven't got a fucking clue, but they probably do. What is going on in the generation ships still in transit? Well, not a lot, because all the people are in hibernation. No, hang on, fucking hell, you said generation ships. Have I used generation ships? No, they were cryo ships mostly. Maybe I have used some generation ships, and maybe things have happened, and maybe there's a story there, but it's not there in my mind at the moment. What part of the galaxy is colonized? Several thousand worlds is not very many. Okay, the way I describe the polity in one of my books, it's spherical expansion in the disk of the galaxy, and the sphere slightly flattened where it has reached the limits of the top and the bottom of the galaxy. So it is a large portion of the galaxy. Of course, this is something I have left deliberately vague, because once I start setting boundaries, I start setting limits on the stories that I can tell. Next one. Thank you, Jesse. Or Jeffrey, because that's the name of your dog, as I recollect. Anyway. Luke Richard Allen. What keeps you coming back to the polity? Apart from Cowl and the Owner trilogy, you've not ventured anywhere else. What's the lasting appeal? Okay. Okay. When I started writing the polity books, I deliberately wrote something large to encompass just about any science fiction story I wanted to tell. Yeah, this is one of the things that keeps me coming back, because I can tell any story there. I don't have to create another future history for many stories. I came back. I created a different chronology, if you like, for the Owner books, because it was near future history from Earth. And incidentally, for those who have asked the questions or talked about it, the Owner trilogy has no connection at all to the polity. Okay. Anyway, and Cowl was different again. I mean, this was time travel. It's a different thing. But also the lasting appeal. I love the things I write. Why not come back and write about them again? It's I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. So it's about that. I like it. I love it. I come back to it every time. Okay. Next one. Am I doing all right? Or am I babbling? I'm not sure. I will have to check this afterwards. I'm not going to fucking do it again. Okay. Ray Siscon. Neal, do you ever become afraid of the things you're writing about? I don't know what scares me more, Prader, crazy AIs, or the Jane. And then he says, keep scaring me. Thank you, Ray. No, I don't get scared about them. Most of what goes on in the polity, it's almost utopian. Well, yeah, the Prader perhaps not quite so utopian, but they don't scare me. This is fantastical science fiction. There to create a sense of wonder and for people to enjoy. This is what it's all about. I have no fear there. If there is anything I fear, it is the ideas in the Owner trilogy, and that these may come true. But surprising as it may seem, even though I wrote that dystopia, I'm very optimistic about the future. Optimistic in a very pragmatic way, because if you look at the past, things have always got better. Yes, we've had some big wars and all sorts of shit, but the human condition improves continuously through technology, not through politics, but through technology. So None of it frightens me. I enjoy it because I'm a sick puppy. Thank you, Ray. Next one. Matt Wintermoot Rowans. Do you remember the moment when you came up with U-Space? I don't remember the moment. It was it's related in a little way to the previous question about why the polity. I wanted something different, something that was my own, so I used the polity, and it was suitably vague. When it came to space travel, well, we have hyperspace, yeah, people traveling through hyperspace, but I wanted something different, and I scratched my head and I thought about it, and what happened there was a connection to submarines. So I thought, U being the main letter that is used in these kind of description when you consider like U-boats and things like this, and it just worked out perfectly in my mind. This idea that real space is like above the surface of the sea of U-space, and that the ships submerge into it like submarines and go through and come out. But I'm sorry, I cannot remember when I came up with this. It was probably in one of the short stories, so we're talking 20 more years ago. Thank you, Matt. Okay. Next question. Bloody thing. Right. Scott Hughes. Hi, Neil. You engage with us fans on an almost daily basis and on a very personal level. Over the course of the last couple of years, you've made me laugh and cry with your honesty about both your personal life and your writing. As a fan, I feel I engage more with your writing than that of others because I could understand where the words come from, if that makes sense. So my question is, what do you think that you get back personally and or professionally from engagement with us? Thank you. Okay, Scott. I've never quite understood why so many other writers, I mean, many of them do, but there are so many that don't engage like this on the internet. My job and my vocation, if you like, is communication. I like communicating. I like writing. So when I have something like Facebook or the blog or Twitter and things like that, I mean, this is a lovely toy for me. So I really enjoy communicating. It's part of my job. What do I get out of it? I get the feedback. I get people telling me, really enjoyed your books. This is encouragement for me all the time. In past times, I mean, many writers just worked in a vacuum, maybe seeing a little bit, a few reviews and bits and pieces of their previous books. But with the internet like this, I'm getting feedback all the time. People telling me things, telling me what they like, what they want. In fact, I would say it's almost, not entirely, because, well, it's due to the fans and their feedback that the book Brassman was written. Also me, because I love the character Mr. Crane and I wanted to bring him back, but also my fans all loved the character Mr. Crane, and this confirmed my feelings about it, and so this resulted in Brassman being written. So it's a good thing, don't you think? Thank you, Scott. And here we go, another one. Brian Scott. Neal Asher, thanks for the great books. Right. Have you ever thought of collaborating with another author? No, no, it just does not appeal to me at all. That no, it seems it seems very often the case that you see when collaborations come out, it's when one of the parties has run out of ideas. But no, no, it doesn't appeal to me, Brian. Next one. Daniel Hansen. First of all, thank you, Neil, for all the hours I've got to spend in the fantastic universes you've created. I remember wanting to get home early from work so I could dive back in. So, how was the Polity universe created? Did you have it all thought out before you started writing, or did it sort of grow and evolve over time? Were there any influences from the real world or other writers? Right, okay. It grew over time. It grew through my short story writing, which I did for many. In fact, you can see them on the shelf up here. Many of the short story magazines that I wrote for. I would tell a story, and certain things I would use time and time again. The Prey Dog put in an appearance in one story and then would appear in another one. Certain kinds of weapons like pulse guns, U-Space appeared there. All these elements, these different bits and pieces, made up the polity. Influences, well, definitely Ian M. Banks for his smart talking AIs. But all over, it's like I say in the foreword of the Skinner. My thanks to all those writers from Aldous to Zelazny, through the alphabet. They've all influenced me in some way. But yeah, the polity grew up through the short stories until the point where I expanded it into something bigger with Gridlington. So thank you, Daniel. Now, I have to check how much time. I think I'm going to have to stop there because this is half an hour. It's going to take forever to load, and I'm not actually sure how much I can load. So, Will Woodvine, I will get to your question on the next video clip and the ones that come after that. So, thanks for the questions, guys. Bye.